this is a really important, pivotal moment for the WNBA. The players have opted out of the collective bargaining agreement, and they are fighting for transformative change right now. You hear all these numbers, all these statistics about the money that is rolling in, and they want to make sure they get their fair share too. Nneka is leading the way on this. She's in charge of the Players Association. She's calling the shots. You probably know this, but she was the 2016 MVP for the WNBA. She was selected first overall in the draft back in 2012. She led Stanford to 4 consecutive Final Four appearances. And by the way, while she was doing that, she also got her BA in psychology, and that's probably going to help her a lot in these negotiations to try and figure out.
Sinead doesn't like that I have that, but
I bet nobody does, except for the players. It's going to be priceless when it comes to that. Now, Nneka, you've been at the Final Four yourself playing in this, and you're here this time around. I just wonder what you think about the excitement levels that are here, what the buzz is surrounding that, how maybe how different it is from when you were there, and how you feel about all that shift.
I absolutely love it. You know, for a lot of people, the shift might have felt like it was overnight, but it certainly was not.
Yeah.
I entered the league when, you know, you were lucky if you had what they called a 5 and 5, like a shoe deal. You know, 5K comp, 5K base salary. And
oh my
that was
gosh!
Like, yeah. So that was the extent of any other contract you were going to sign outside of signing a WNBA contract and an overseas contract.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, the WNBA contract was kind of like the precursor to make the real money, of course, when you go overseas. And so to be now in a position, and you know, it's easy to talk about all of the different activations, all of the different partners that are now investing, but as someone who's been in it for so long, I find it so interesting, the commentary in the different spaces, actually the same spaces that I've occupied for 14 years now in the league, and how that has changed, whether it's in the airport, whether it's just people in my community asking me like, oh, are you going to Unrivaled? Are you in Miami?
Yeah.
People know that there's something happening down there. I'm in the airport, and it's actually quite interesting. I was talking to Sinead about this. We could have been walking in the airport. I spent many years playing with Elena Beard. She's a vet that I always advocate for because she taught me how to do what I'm doing right now. We would be in the airport. We would be wearing all of our Spark stuff, and they would still be like, oh, are you guys a college team, you know? And now I could be walking in the airport with no paraphernalia on and be stopped several times.
Yeah.
Simply because of the accessibility and the visibility that we're now seeing that is a result of the investment that we see in women's sports today. So my personal experience is incredibly indicative of the growth, and I'm very happy about that.
Mm-hmm. You talk about that growth and how much things have changed. And then you've got the WNBA just signing this groundbreaking TV deal, $2.2 billion. What are the players going to get out of that?
That's a great question. I know what we're advocating for a lot. That's what we're advocating for, most certainly. No, it's amazing to be able to see numbers that big. You know, we haven't been dealing with B's. You know, we've been dealing with M's, and that takes time. You know, I oftentimes, you know, a lot of times when I was asked about perhaps the salary conversation, and those who didn't want to do enough research would say, oh, you're asking for the same as the men. I'm like, okay, well, one, no. We're trying to reinvent the salary structure, first of all, especially in this current negotiation. But then two, you know, we're out here understanding what our value is, even before it showed itself, you know, publicly. We are professional athletes. You know, we are coming out here playing at the highest level, and that needs to be reflective in our salary, our compensation, and the resources that are necessary for us to do what we need to do so that people love coming and watching us play.
I mean, the argument in the past has always been that the revenue from the media rights, it was so much greater in the NBA than the WNBA. It's still greater, but when you're talking a $2.2 billion deal, that is a game changer. How do you break that down? How do you tie it to it?
Well, I mean, quite frankly, Sinead and I talk about this all the time. You know, I think that it is time that we have realized, but that we sustain that although we've had amazing support and foundation from our brethren on the NBA side, the WNBA is a different league. It's a different league. We have different fans. We play differently. We're still playing basketball, but everything about who we are is our own identity. So and we have to make sure that we focus on that when it comes to the investment.
Okay, so for people who don't realize it, most people in this room probably do, but 42% of the ownership is of the WNBA is the NBA. Another 42% goes to the teams within the league. And I guess my question is that a stifling thing? Also with the fact that you have all these partnership deals that have to be co-branded between the WNBA and the NBA. How does that stifle things?
Well, I mean, you know, if you're if you're looking for a personal care partner and the WNBA has to wear Axe, that doesn't make sense. You know, we have feminine care. Like there's just, as human beings, we're different, and because of that, we've created the beauty that is the difference between these two different leagues. And granted, we were able to attain a huge TV deal because of the foundation.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So we have to acknowledge that. But we must differentiate when we see that the growth has feelers that are reaching in different places because of the league that we've become. And I also really strongly believe that a lot of the intentional partnership that we have now has a lot to do with our natural existence as women in this world. You know,
Explain
we are born into the resistance. This world was not created for us. So we have to maintain and create spaces for ourselves. The WNBA is just that. And we saw that hugely in 2016 when we first came out and we had media blackout due to the violence that we were seeing in our Black communities in markets that WNBA teams are in. And players said, hey, no, you know, this is bigger. This is way bigger than what we're doing on the court. But we also acknowledge, as we did in 2020, that our platform is the reason why we can come out and use our voice.
Right.
It works in pari passu. And I think that it's important for us to realize that we can't cancel one out. It's the chicken and the egg, but you know, right now everybody's eating. And we have to remember exactly where we came from and where we want to go, but also our evolution in the process.